Yeah, and it's a great shout. We've got some of the strongest teams, and to be fair to the teams that weren't part of this, even those that end up falling by the wayside, in the likes of Molotovs and Marshmallows and Infuse, we saw some teams there that could end up taking maps off of these top four teams that are going to be fighting it out over this weekend. So everyone can beat everybody, and from Orgless, who are looking pretty much dominant and just running over teams for the most part, they're coming up against FM, and FM just hit this next level. And I think that if that's the point that they're playing at now, then it's theirs for the taking. But again, we've seen them struggle a little bit against some of the opposition. I think they dropped a map against a team that we wouldn't have been expecting, but it's all very much to play for. As we see the first play going to be making its way into the B site, and Pulse is on point straight away. Nice shot taking down Jacob, but Jack is able to fire straight back. So going to try and get this one on the board. Expect whoever picks this one up is going to be able to put a bit of a buy together. If CAZ don't pick this one up, they've got the plants, so probably going for a third round force as we see the retake trying to come in. PT taken down to 5 points health, and Chucky does take down Pulse from short as well. Boaster able to grab the low HP PT, and it is a clean-up. And so it is going to be CAZ Esports taking the 1-0. And just a quick mention, ABC123 is Robin, the Swedish player, being a little bit difficult as far as putting his actual name up, but there's always one, eh?
Sometimes there's more than one. I think that's the only exception, but yeah. Wonderful first round from CAZ. Obviously losing one man, and that man was taken out by a blinded player with what I think was quite a lucky shot. It's all going pretty well, and this round's looking like it's probably going to be going much the same way. There's a couple of P250s on the board for Orgless. They've got a bit of armor, but already probably their most powerful weapon, the Scout, being tagged down to 30 HP. And CAZ have full mid control over the rest of the map. There's no real aggressive pushes going on that are going to be destabilizing them. And they've still got a minute and a half left on the clock. They can go anywhere at this point.
Yeah, they sure can. They're probably going to just split out and try and work a bit of a pick. They've got the weapon advantage in all positions, apart from maybe in the mid, but Pulse's Scout, it's only a tag weapon, and we see Robin is able to pop up through the window and take Pulse down using the Mac 10, so that's a good economy purchase. Boaster able to make use of a frag on Mighty Max, and Cryptic's doing the same thing with an MP7 in his hand. See how these players get on with the recent changes to the AK. Basically changed it up so that you can be a little more accurate if you want to go and tap away, so you can kind of kill people in some different ways with the weapon. And to be honest, I've not had a chance to try it out, but I'm sure these players will have been putting some time in and getting ready to go. PT takes one frag, he takes down Robin, who is already down to quite low with a tag, and PT looks like he might pick up his second, but they know where he is. Low HP, 12 HP actually. He's going to catch that nade perfectly from Cryptics, and it is going to be second round on the board for CAZ Esports. But some nice damage done from Orgless. A couple of players dropped in the skirmish.
Yeah, definitely not the worst of rounds. I mean, looking at it towards the end there, just before PT managed to find his two, it wouldn't have been great at all. But as he did manage to pick them up, then it's at least a little bit of economic damage, and it gives Orgless something to work off of. It allows them to keep this sort of pressure on. It's just what they can do in this round. They're working with even less. There's now no armor, there's no Scout, there's only one upgraded pistol, and these are the sort of rounds where you just expect them to fall. The question is, at the moment, are they going to be falling, taking others down with them? Or is it going to be a one-sided affair? And if CAZ realize, and if they decide that they're going to be heading over to the A side instead, then potentially it is going to be quite one-sided, but they put a lot of presence towards B, and so they've lost two players early on. PT and Pulse now probably have the potential to find themselves a gun if they play it correctly. And they can still do quite a bit more damage to the CAZ Esports side. I mean, 3 players left alive at the moment. If you can take down 2 of them, even if they end up winning the round, that's so much economic damage this early in the game. And I mean, look at the economy. Boaster already just on 2 grand. Obviously, he's going to be getting some, but it's exactly what you want to be seeing. But on the CAZ side, Shaq doing exactly what you want to be seeing. Finds himself the headshot, takes 1 player down, leaves Pulse as the last man, P2K in hand, and it's not looking like it's going to be a good round for him.
Position known and picked up very quickly. A very crisp one shot from Chak early on with the AK over towards short. So it's a long range effort there, but he ends up picking it up. And also seeing some slightly different weapon sounds. The P250, what have you done, guys? That sounds absolutely horrific, but we'll go along with it. and 3 rounds on the board for CAZ Esports. So that gives them a decent little cushion of cash, so they would be able to buy next time out if they don't drop this one. But other than that, they're going to be back up against it. So got to be careful. Still a potential reset, and we've got North of Rattlesnake, so he's going to be taking on the 5 AKs. A couple of players not rocking the head armor for the CTs, but one-shot headshot with those AKs, so not going to be a big loss by any stretch. Rattlesnake has the chance, and he gets taken down to 33 points of health, actually, and just shoots over the top of Boaster. You think maybe later on in the stage of this game he wouldn't be missing that opportunity, but it's a chance for CAZ early on to try and catch these guys napping. I know Rattlesnake had to jump onto deathmatch, and a few of these players kind of had to jump in a bit last minute. I think maybe haven't had as much time to get themselves ready as they would have liked. As Robin, he seems to be in fine fettle as he taps out and takes down Pulse. Cryptix now coming through jungle, and Rattlesnake is there to be taken, and that's up on short. Actually my mistake. And PT then, he's going to be trying to look towards short where he knows there's some action, but that smoke is going to make sure that he can't do anything, and CAZ can now work on the B site if they want to.
Yeah, quite. It's going to be Mighty Max there to try and see what he can do to stop them. He's going to be doing a great job initially. 2 frags already, and looking for more, still being a threatening presence. Even if he's not going to be finding more frags, he sets them up with the chance. But unfortunately, Release can't capitalize, and it ends up being 1 frag for him and another round on the board for CAZ. And this is what you don't want to happen if you're Orgless. You lose pistol, that gives them the initial 3. They find this 4th, that gives them the chance to build up their economy, because they're not going to be able to get a buy. Orgless can't really do a huge amount here. We see a couple of nades, we see a few upgraded pistols, but against 5 AKs, against all the utility that CAZ can, well, stuff their pockets with, it's not going to be a sufficient buy, and 1 or 2 frags is probably the most you're looking for as a CT here. It's just a bad start to the game.
Yeah, it is, and we've talked about this being a bit of a momentum map sometimes, and how it can swing, and it can really get against you when you're on the CT side and you're not winning rounds, because even with lost zones, you can't really get together what you'd want. Rattlesnake, for example, is going to want to get his AWP up, so that means he has to go super scrubby in the rounds in between just to make sure that can happen. And sometimes you have to change things up and go for cheap guns and maybe push somewhere just to try and pick up that round and build a bit of a bankroll for you as you go forward.
Yeah, I mean, when you don't have armor and you don't really have anything to work with, pushing to see what you can do with the gun's probably a fairly good idea. Staying still is just going to be causing you problems. Well, it's not going to be doing any good.
It sure isn't. Had a little bit of a pause at mine, so we missed some of the action, but we haven't seen too much of a commitment just yet, other than a couple of early picks. So PT and Pulse have both gone down. Jacob was felled for CAZ, but he traded off a frag in the meantime, and they are now heading back again towards the B, where there is 2 players for August ready to go. Mighty Max down to 14 points of health before he's caught, and he does take down Robin. Release is on some... he's on a proper tear with a pistol in hand. He's on point and able to find a frag with it as he now pushes out onto the site, but the power of the AK winning through. Rattlesnake gives away his position, firing through, tracer fire and sound, etc. Chak on 11 HP, so he's trying to protect the plant from coming in. Cryptix now, nice nade actually, straight off of the wall. It's like something out of Robocop, and it is going to be 5-0 in favour of CAZ.
So, a hugely surprising round from Orgless. I mean, considering the buy they went into that with, considering the fact that I'm pretty sure none of them had armor, it was just a couple of nades and some pistols, they managed to take out 4 of the players with them. Maybe this signals something. Maybe we're going to be seeing a little bit of a turning point here in round 6. Even if we do, though, the issue that I didn't quite mention last round is the fact that CAZ are already on 5. On this map, you find 6 rounds, you're in a good place on the T side. You can work your CT side off of that, and they're 1 away at the moment, with Orgless having nothing on the board. So if they can pick this up, they're going to be in a fine position indeed, and they start it off well. Boaster picks up Pulse right at the beginning, and Orgless are left 4 versus 5 at that disadvantage once again early on. A minute and a half left on the board. They're going to be losing map control. They're going to be losing control of the sites potentially, and just giving CAZ more and more room to work with. And it's a scary game to play at this point.
Well, yeah, it is, because you've got to try and figure out how they're going to get through it. Already, they're on another buy versus buy, which has been an expensive one for them to put together, and they've already lost a man in Pulse. So, there's got to be a point where you've got to think about stopping the rot. Even when you've got the loss bonus raking up, it's still not enough to get you quite what you'd like. And it's got to come to a point now where they think, right, okay, well, this isn't working. We are going to have to change up the pace. Maybe someone be a little more pushy, try and be a bit more aggressive, maybe go as a unit somewhere, take a gamble on where you want to push. And you might have to do that as part of a force buy. The economy runs away from you too much because you will just end up running out of rounds if nothing else. That's going to help. Rattlesnake gets the opening frag, but both the trade back and Cryptic gets one as well. So the numbers are still falling in favour of CAZ. 5v3 it is. Mighty Max is last man left alive. He's got the chance to pick up 3 players and bring this thing home and put the first round on the board if he can. But it's going to be a real tough ask, and we might well see him think about just picking up an exit frag and saving this weapon if he can. He is vulnerable to a push behind from Kitchen if CAZ want to go for it, but at the moment they are in the ascendancy, and they are probably going to keep their economy building and keep these weapons that they do have going into the next round. So I think 6-0 is guaranteed. Max isn't going to try and push the tempo on this one, but it's just how expensive this is going to be for CAZ or for Orgless is going to be the question, and I think Jacob's going to end up catching him, so it is going to be 6-0, and it is going to remain as it is, 3-1. And a very commanding position for CAZ. They've probably got enough rounds on T side already.
Yeah, well, they've got enough. They've got the minimum. 6 rounds, it's the minimum. You can work from it. It's good. Now, if they can find themselves 7, if they can find themselves 8, if they can push it further and get into the double digits, they're just going to be giving themselves an easy CT side. And unless Orgless have something absolutely insane to pull out on their terrorist side, then it shouldn't be too much of a problem. But already, Orgless seem to have taken your advice, Mike. They seem to have changed things up a little bit. You can already see PT's pushed all the way up mid, and they're gaining that information early and on a round where CAZ are executing as well, so they have the time to do it, but they don't act fast enough, and instead it's going to be a straight push out towards this A site. Release doing all the work for his team right now, manages to find himself 2 up in Palace. The rest get through, but it's a 5 versus 3 retake with, well, I'd say almost full utility left on the Orgless players. This shouldn't be a tricky one. This should just be a, yep, you got the bomb down, now we're going to come through and absolutely demolish you. CAZ will have to pull off something flawless here if they want this to work, and they're going to be trying to start it off. Chak onto PT, but he can't find anything useful. Mighty Max going to be taking down Jacob next, and Robin falls just after. The first round on the board for Orgless, and it's exactly what they need. It's a perfect round. It's a clean round. If they hadn't have found that, who knows what they would have been getting up.
Yeah, perfect opportunity, to be honest, coming in from... Well, sorry, from Chak to made that frag on PT. As I was watching PT go all the way around, I thought I'll stick on him and see what happens. And PT made a footstep, and Chak then turned to look towards the ramp and maybe missed his opportunity. If he'd picked that one up 4 versus 3, then he would have been in a nice position to deal with perhaps some of these players making their way into the site. Could have looked towards T steps. You see PT again get aggressive, takes down Chak as he tries to look towards the A ramp, and now they're going forcey McForce. Orgless with their strategy, trying to get a little more aggressive, and PT, when we're seeing them in the ascendancy, Orgless, PT is one of those players that does drift around as Jacob frags back, taking down Mike Max, and Cryptix has a frag as well. PT trying to spam through the smoke, but isn't able to pick up anything there, and Rattlesnake with a double as Cryptix and Jacob goes down, so trying to make something happen. Boaster, he's on point and flicks very quickly to Rattlesnake's face, taking him down, and maybe a chance for them to get the plant on here as the 2 players are coming in, trying to get the pincer movement going, which is a little bit risky. It means that they are potentially 1 at a time if CAZ get their angles right and they've had time to get the plant in. Boaster towards the back, so he's at least protected from short of the time being. PT taken down at 50, catches a nade perfectly, and Robin also perfect with his execution, and that fire from Release, he hasn't picked up the frag, so it's 2v1 to his disadvantage. He's given away his position, but he does get Boaster at the back, leaving Robin last man taking down Release, who is on super low HP, and the reset comes in. See how many more rounds CAZ can build with this advantage that they've carved back out for him. And actually, Orgless, if they want to force this one up, they can.
Oh yeah, fortunately in the last round it was a clean one. So that means this round we're going to be seeing more M-Force coming out of these guys, and they do have one last chance to stick with it. If they can find this round, they're still definitely in the game, or at least in the half. If they don't, they're going to be having trouble, and they're trying to replicate the success they had earlier. They push PT straight up mid, make him take the fight, but he doesn't win it this time. Or rather, there are people there this time. Last time, he met an empty mid, and they worked off of that. This time, it's going to be fights all around, and for the large part, they are being won by CAZ. 2 players already dropped on the Orgless side, and Mighty Max realizes that maybe it's not a great idea to try his luck right now. Pulls back on towards the B site, and again, opens the map up for CAZ completely. There is a push coming in from the A site in the form of release, but if they head over to B fast, they should be able to hit it with full force, and at that point, it's got to crumble, and we're going to be seeing another disadvantage retake for Orgless, which, historically, hasn't been their best moment.
No, for sure, and it's a little bit of misguided aggression. You know, you get something and, you know, say too much of a good thing. Well, if it ends up winning one round, that doesn't necessarily mean that you can stick with it, because teams will adapt to you, and that's exactly what CAZ have done. I think they've been patient, and we've been expecting that PT's been in a few areas. For example, they were known from his push behind and his push down A ramp before, that he's maybe looking to get a little bit aggro, and you know, they're just set up kind of like an anti-eco but against the buy, and it worked pretty well for them. Got the numbers in their favour, and ended up splitting Rattlesnake over towards the A because he had to be there to be able to call it off and call the rotate. So they just completely softened up that B attack and made it much simpler for them to get in. And CAZ, you know, trying to take advantage of the reset that they brought in, and now they have put all this down onto an eco, and they're trying to get into the mid, but there's 2 players there, and they're expecting to fall pretty quickly. Pulse from release, nice work. They do get a couple of players, but it is a 3 versus 2, and no opportunity for them to get in and pick up any of these weapons just yet. Jacob is in the prime position to grab the bomb. Pulse completely blind, so Jacob, he's looking in the wrong direction, but he does pick up the one. Mighty Max has to fall away. Chance for Jacob then to recover the bomb, pick the site, probably going to be A, by the way they're setting it up, and Chuck is going to be able to push in and just support that mid and make sure that it goes through without any further casualties. Mighty Max, last man standing, and he's taken down, so CAZ 9-1 is their advantage now on T side.
Yeah, Mighty Max still doing, I'd say about the best job he could with the USP. He almost manages to find himself one. But alas, it's not to be, and Orgless stick with their 1 solitary round right now. We're going to be seeing another sort of weak buy coming out of them. They do have kits, they do have a little bit of utility, but they're going to be supporting the 3 M4s they were able to buy with 2 FAMASs. And this time I don't think we're going to be seeing anything quite as adventurous as we might have been before out of them. Instead, it's going to be a pretty standard round. You've got Pulse in Ladderum, and you've got the 3-1 split across the sites, and it works at the beginning. Release finds one, but he's going to be tagged down low, and Boaster in the perfect position manages to pick him up. PT, though, quickly back with a refrag, and it's going to be trades at least this round. 3 versus 3, as CAZ fall away from the site, and the only issue I see with that, if it was a little bit later in the round, if CAZ hadn't been slower on the push, then maybe this would be an advantage, but at the moment, they hold the cards.
Yeah, they sure do, and they've got the opportunity to pick where they want to go. Mighty Max, I'm surprised he didn't get taken down by more. Cryptic's 37 HP is not dented by PT and picks it up, and it is 3v2 in favour. So Rattlesnake and Mighty Max last 2 men standing. Mighty Max got 150 bucks. Rattlesnake has absolute zip at the moment in his account. So he's going to be down the job centre in the morning trying to get some cash together to try and scrape together a buy. Probably not in the next round, but maybe the round after if things continue to move in the favour of CAZ. But we shall see. 30 seconds left to go. So still a bit of time to decide where they want to go. And I think they are now lining up to be going into A for the time being. Cryptic takes down Rattlesnake, so that's going to open it up. Mighty Max, last man standing. He's got 1 player. Make that 2 actually. Robin and Cryptic could be quite easy for him to pick up with his FAMAS, but he might run out of bullets in time to deal with both unless he's on point. They know where he is, and he gets caught in the crossfire, and they do end up picking it up. So 10-1 it is. And first, let's look at the scoreboard. It's Robin leading the charge, 15-4 for CAZ Esports.
Yeah, he is going absolutely huge right now. I mean, four deaths in 12 rounds is, or sorry, in 11 rounds that have been played out is impressive as it is. But finding 15 kills in that time, absolutely insane. And I mean, saying that, 2 of his teammates are up there with him. You've got Cryptic and Boaster sat on 12 and 11 respectively. So it's not like it's a one-man show on CAZ's side. The entire team right now firing on all cylinders. And even those who aren't maybe fragging as hard, you see a lot of support coming out in the way of nades and flashes and all sorts of other things. So it is sort of a team effort, and it's going extremely well for them, it would seem. This round, another chance to put some distance between themselves and Orgless is going to be pistols for the CT side. And unfortunately, right at the start, it doesn't look like they're going to be making much of a show of it, right? Up until Release manages to find one, he's still going to be a presence in that window, but Jacob, with the quick 3k, manages to clean him up. And that is unfortunate indeed. Another round, little damage done. CAZ's economy still sitting extremely strong right now, and Orgless, again, having to scrape together a buy. It is going to be a good one this time. They do have that double up setup coming out. But once more, it's everything they have invested into it. It's going to be another free round after this, essentially, if CAZ managed to pick it up, and I don't know. It just worries me.
Yeah, and the only thing that Orgless have had any real success with is the aggro push, which they maybe weren't expecting for 2 rounds, but since then, it's all been going in their favour, and they've kind of anti-stratted for that as such. Orgless just can't get anything to put themselves into the game. They can't make a pick. Rattlesnake going, completely blind with the smoke there, but he wasn't even close to picking up a frag, and there's 3 players round about the mid area that is taking control of that, and they can try and deal with any potential rotates. You can see it's all going their way. Chak taking down to 13 points of health, but he just walked into A, picked up a frag, and he's dropped out from there, and the same thing's happened. Let's see, who is it? Boaster, he's down to 3 HP, but he's managed to get himself a frag as well, so that's one of the B players down, and they're just hammering through. Chak and Boaster both down to super low HP, so they've got to fear nades, but there are no nades up on the remaining 3 Orgless players, as they now get themselves ready to go back into A. I'd love to say they've been getting more success in one site than the other, but they're getting success practically everywhere, to be honest, and they're now making their way. Rattlesnake could do some damage with the AWP, but when you've got 2 AWPs in there and players coming in close quarters, then you're only going to get 1 opportunity, and he's getting tagged as well. He does pick up Chak, who's already on super low, so they've still got their 100 HP or near players left. That fire could do enough damage to take Rattlesnake out. He's flushed out. Cryptix picks up his second of the round, and Pulse, he's able to grab Robin from behind the boxes. Plant is down though, so Cryptix is going to sit in and bring Pulse out, and he takes it out through the box actually, but Cryptix doesn't fear that. He keeps peeking the angle, picks up his 3rd for the round, and it is 12-1 in favour of CAZ. And we're going to see a 14-1 here, and Orgless got the decision. Do they force? Yes, they do. And if they don't pick this one up, well, they're stuffed for that final round.
Yeah, but I mean, when it gets to this sort of point, you have to force every round. You have to try and get anything you can on the board, because it's just unacceptable. Especially if you're Orgless. I don't think anybody was expecting this. I don't think it's a scoreline that anybody in the UK scene, anybody at all, could have really predicted. And so it is just to put everything you have into every round possible and see what you can do. But again, it's not going to be a great start. Cryptix finds 1 man at either site to start things off and facilitates that push into B perfectly. Boaster comes through, picks up Pulse, and that's the site already gone in but a few seconds. 1:30 on the clock. The bomb going down, and Release and Rattlesnake left as the last 2 alive, and it's just a showcase from CAZ. The last round and this round the same. They're such a thorough team.
Yeah, a class act. And there are some players in the mix who are, on their own, individually very good fraggers, but they're also working so well as a unit at the moment as well. And as you're saying, the players that haven't been there so much on the frags have been contributing with their flashes, their nades, their utility, and just holding the angles. And at no point really have Orgless been able to get in from behind, aside from that 1 round maybe where PT got a little bit aggressive, and they've just got everything locked down. But for Orgless, it seems like they've just gone backwards. They came up against FM, who with Orgless sort of leading the charge and being the team to beat. FM made such light work of them and stepped their level up. We saw Orgless taken very close last week by Millwall Bushwhackers in the 2nd map. Of course, Orgless made very light work of the 1st, which is another little wobble. And we see here they're probably going to end up going in 14-1 in the 1st map, unless they manage to pick one up here. And 2 players out in the mid window going to try and do some damage, and it has worked. PT and Rattlesnake working together, and they have got aggressive. They kind of pushed everywhere en masse, and it seems to have worked quite well. So Chak and Jacob against all 5 players from Orgless. Jacob down to 32 points of health. Rattlesnake and PT both down to sub 25, and Release able to get Chak. So looks like it's going to be 13-2, but 1 pistol for CAZ on CT side, and we are looking at probably game over here pretty quickly as we go into the 2nd map, which will be Cobble.
Yeah. Tell you what I find the most surprising thing about that half mark. Both rounds that we actually saw Orgless managing to win were clean rounds. They won 2 rounds with 5 players left alive, and apart from that, just couldn't get anything done. And as you said, it means that in this pistol round, it is sort of going to be, do Orgless lose here or not? Because should they lose this pistol round, CAZ are going to have basically an easy pathway through to that 16-2 scoreline. And I think Orgless are going to want to put that away for a little bit. I think they're going to want to extend theirs to 5 first, try and fight it back a little bit, and at least get to something respectable before anything's over. And this might be the way to do it. They head towards the A site initially, but Jacob drops Rattlesnake and the bomb right from the start. Release is going to be getting one back, but it gives the position away, and it evens up the numbers for the retake before Shaq can put them back in the favor of CAZ. So immediately a 4 versus 3, and they're already on the site.
Yeah, they sure are, and they might be able to just sit on that defuse. Cryptix, he's doing some damage. He might have a chance for a second. He's just missed it, but the defuse is on. Oh.
You're joking.
Oh, predictable. And there's 3 of them around the site. Orgless are all sitting on the same angle, and there's so much cover. They got smoke there. It's, yeah, it would have been so tough for that to have been retaken.
I just don't get. I don't get the thought process. Orgless are a better team than this.
Yeah.
There's no way that a team of this level decides that they're all going to head back towards Connector and Jungle and that sort of area and just hold it from essentially one side, because there's 4 CTs left alive. You don't know what they have. There's every chance they have a utility, and indeed they did. They used it perfectly and found themselves the crucial round they need. And this is where something I was talking about the other day, actually, in a different game, comes into it. Is there or could there be such a thing as giving up on a map? Could they be now thinking about Cobble, thinking about what they're going to be doing there, and not paying this one too much attention? Because it doesn't seem like they're doing anything particularly, I'd say particularly intensive with their plays. They're just going for basically the standard strats, and CAZ are shredding through them as they do it.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's no reason why not, but you'd kind of think, if there's a reason you're doing that, I mean, we know from the chat and the like is how things develop with the amount of people that have been behind the scenes in this thing. It's kind of known that for some of the Orgless players, they didn't appear until just before the game was due to start. So you're thinking, okay, maybe they've not had the time to warm up. So you would kind of want to extend things out enough that you can put the time in and start to warm up a little bit and get yourself ready for it. And just giving things away and losing rounds like that, it's not in the best of form. So they have given up rather than thinking, all right, let's go and try and challenge and take some 50-50s and see if we can make some kicks. Then yeah, I'm not thinking that's the best plan. Plus you've got the psychological aspect of it as well, just putting some rounds on the board and making it close. I guess that can work in the adverse as well. Maybe CAZ will be thinking, we've got this, and maybe let their guard down a little bit for the second map. Possibly, but it's all very interesting how the psychology of this thing's unfolding in the very early stages.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I mean, if we don't see Orgless pick up anything from this point on, if CAZ managed to close this out here, and it looks like they might be in with a shot of it, I mean, considering the fact that there's a couple of Deagles, a couple of P250s, and an AK on the side of Orgless, then that is going to be a very interesting thing to think about. But first we have this round, and Pulse starts it off with a blinder, comes out, finds Boaster's head instantly, and manages to find both site control and a man advantage for Orgless, but it's lost quickly as Jacob comes straight back in for release. And just like that, it's going to continue to be 3 players sat on pistols, 1 sat on the AK, and their health is dwindling. There's so many CTs coming in for the retake, and Rattlesnake's abandoned site. He's going on that long flank, so if CAZ can act fast, they're going to have an easier fight than they first anticipated coming into this one. And it's going to be working out initially. Jacob and Chak managing to find 1 apiece. Mighty Max does respond, but it might be a little bit too late. Rattlesnake, last one alive, sat on stairs, seeing what he can do to stop the defuse, but it's not going to work.
No, it sure isn't. And that is going to be 16-2. Wow. Okay, well that was quick.